I love it. It always says it's setting up. Oh, it says now it's streaming live on Facebook. Hey, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Love Seat, coming to you a little bit later than typical. I was just telling Shuhada that it's actually my bedtime right now, but I think we're going to be okay. So welcome, everyone, to this week's Love Seat. I'm Morna Haist, the founder of Revolutionary Woman, coming to you from, I always look outside and go to the beautiful west coast of British Columbia, Canada, but it's dark right now. It is still beautiful. And I'm joined this week by the equally beautiful Shuhada Alauddin, who's beaming into us. Hi, beaming into us from Malaysia. And you sent through this amazing bio. So I want to give you the honor of actually reading your bio before I invite you to say lots and lots of things with us. But I was going to say it says, but you've said, it says, Shuhada Alauddin is a business energy coach and founder of MYRYL, which I think is really cool. I want to find out all about that. Shuhada coaches entrepreneurs to transform their business aura. I also love that. I want to know what that is. Through the release of mental and emotional blockages so that they can expand their business and increase revenue. Yeah, we all want that. She's also an international speaker who's spoken at the Muslim Lifestyle Expo in Manchester and the Tokyo Modest Fashion Week in Tokyo. That's really cool. I want to know what that is. I want to know what everything is. So I'm going to be asking you lots of questions. And you've been featured on lots of media. I'm not surprised. And we're going to find out what all of these things mean. But first, welcome. I'm so honored that you've joined us today. Well, what do you want to tell us first off about everything?
First of all, hello to everyone who's watching, and hello and thank you, Morna, for having me. I'm so honored to be your guest this week, and thank you for that introduction. So I can't wait for all the questions that you have. You want to know more about what I do and all that. Yes, you've as you've correctly pointed out, I'm a business energy coach with MYRYL. MYRYL is actually an acronym for Master Yourself, Revamp Your Life. MYRYL. Cool. Yeah. It's my coaching company that I started back in 2012. After being in legal practice, in corporate legal practice for 10 years, one day I had a meltdown at work. Okay. Long story short, I took a break. I discovered my color personality. I attended this color personality therapy class. Discovered my color personality, and I remember that day very clearly. Like I would say the coach, the instructor, was doing this diagnosis on me, and then he was like, "Oh, Shuhada, I know you are a white colored person and a pink colored person." So he was explaining to me what it means, like characteristic wise and all that. And then one part that I remember very clearly, say, the kind of job that would make you happy is like being a teacher, being a counselor. And then he went on and on and on. But that moment, it's like it froze, like in the movies when you see the frame just froze, and then you see lights being shone on you, and then angels go, ah. It was like that for me. So that was when I discovered, like, oh, I think this is what I really should be doing. It's like my true calling. So from that point onwards, of course, I didn't immediately leave. I kind of just figured out what I wanted to do. I said, I want to do coaching and training, because that is actually like a teacher, right? Although initially when I heard the word teacher, I thought, like, what, teaching the young kids? No, I don't think it's for me. But then I realized, no, that's a very limited definition of teacher. So then I got to know about color therapy, so I got certified in that. And 1 year after I left my corporate job, I left my firm's partnership and started MYRYL. So that's how MYRYL got started. And
I love it.
Since then till now, I kind of like got certified in other areas. I don't just focus on colors per se. Now what I do is business energy coaching. Yeah.
I love that. And I when you said MYRYL, in my head I heard myself life. after it. You know, you said then I got started on MYRYL, and obviously you meant, you know, your business, but you know, my brain said life, you know, and I just struck by those moments when we have those realizations about, you know, a deeper purpose in our lives or a different purpose in our lives. And I'm curious, when you talk about the color work, can you say more about that before I ask you more about what it means to be a business or a business coach?
It's basically, it's also energy work, because colors also emit frequencies. They also have their own energy. So each different color will have their own, they'll vibrate at different frequencies. Right. So for example, like a red color would vibrate at a higher frequency, so it's faster. So which is why when you look at color red, you'll see it's very bright. And then you always kind of like when you see somebody wearing red, you equate that with the person being very driven, passionate, or sometimes angry. You know, it's like these are very fast moving vibrations, as opposed to say like blue color, right? Then you instantly think of something calming, something relaxing, because it is a low vibration color. So, and these colors, which then each of them will have their own characteristics, like something I mentioned to you earlier. And when you translate that to a person, it comes out as their personality. So if, for example, in my case, I was the analysis done, the diagnosis done. It says that I am a white colored person and a bit of pink color. So it means that I am the short way of summarizing a white colored person means someone who is, they call them spiritual. So spiritual in the sense, you know, I love things that are like, it's not a surprise that I love energy work. You know, it's something to do with your spirituality, but it also extend beyond that. Like I can't stand being in a noisy, loud place, because I like something more quiet. I love, if you give me yoga and kickboxing, I would choose yoga any day, you know, because that fits me better. So that is like some of the characteristics of a white colored person, spiritual person. And for example, for someone who's a pink colored person, it's associated with people who are loving and caring. They are like overflowing with love, but they also need a lot of love. They're very sensitive to the emotions of the people around them. So if, for example, you have one person walk in and without even looking at their face, you instantly know something's not right. Maybe the person is upset or a person is sad, right? So that's like some of the characteristics. So the same goes with the other colors: orange, yellow, blue, black, white. So they each have characteristics, and that is reflected in the person when you talk about personality.
Oh, that is so cool. And so, I mean, of course, the question probably everybody asks you when you start talking about this is, what color am I? Like, can you tell? Is like, how do you go about figuring this out?
Usually there's a diagnosis, a couple of diagnosis methods to it, where it can be 99% accurate. But that one will require the person to, like, for example, if I were to do it on you, it's best that I do it in the same place, so that I can feel your aura, your vibe. But there's also another way where you can do the calculation based on your birth date, right? Yeah, you add on your birth dates, and then you'll get one. You add them up until you get a single digit.
Yeah.
So do you want me to share with? I already
know what mine is, because I do that in numerology to know my life path.
Right. So, and then whatever number, that single digit that you get at the end of it, there is a corresponding color for that number. So colors and numbers, they are also interrelated.
How much does it cost me to find out? I'm kidding. Like, no, I'm
for you, Mona, it's on the house. It's free.
I love that. So, or can I just ask then, what is the color that corresponds with 8?
Oh my God. I was thinking this number 8, I swear to God, when you're talking, this number 8 keeps coming to my head. I do not know why. So 8 is orange. Okay. But it's not just, you're not just going to be having only one color, right? Because we are complex human beings. So there'll be like several colors, right?
Yes. And well, and also I was about to say that I don't want to simplify what I'm sure is a really, you know, there's lots of different things you're considering, and you know, I definitely imagine that, and yeah, that's really cool. I'm really curious to know more about that. And so, so is this part of your aura work? And when you talk about aura, are you meaning literally like how we arrive and the kind of the field around us and how that shows up? I guess I would call it maybe in my language. I'm trying to think of the word, but even just presence, like how somebody. I'm going to stop talking because I'd rather hear it from you.
You're there. You're there. Yes, definitely aura in that sense. But I also, I think what you're also saying is more, how do I say, like almost spiritual, you know, like more of a spiritual sense. Yes, for me, that is where the color energy work comes in for me. Because sometimes I can see people's aura, sometimes I don't. I do not know. It's just something that if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't, you know? So I do incorporate that in my work, but for my business energy portion of the work that I do now, I talk about aura in the sense of like vibe or
right. Yeah.
How do you call it? Energy. Energy is a very general term of explaining it. So more like the vibe of what you're putting out, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. Like when people talk about law of attraction, they talk about, you know, putting out certain energy, certain frequencies, right? So in my business energy coaching, I focus more on that. The reason being because I usually like to start off with that, because some people who are not used to aura work or energy work, they get scared.
Right, they need to be held by their hand and gently led into.
Yeah. So when I feel that they are ready to hear more, to explore more, and then I will bring them into the more spiritual side of aura, you know? Yeah, because a lot of people, they're very factual, right? You need to be able to understand things scientifically. I mean, that's how the best way for me to say it. So I always start off with things like that. So how I do that is by, to me, what is energy? Is, you know this. I think a lot of people know this. What's around us, within us, and the words, the thoughts that we think, the words that we speak, the emotions that our thoughts evoke, and the actions that we take. All these things are constantly generating energy or aura. So I start off with that. So in business context, the people who I usually work with, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or even aspiring entrepreneurs, they come in thinking like, my business have been stagnant and I'm doing everything. I've learned every marketing strategy. I've attended all these networking events and so on. I know my product really well. I've been running it for like 10 years, but it has hit a ceiling. What's wrong? What am I not doing right? So usually that's where I'll come in and work with them. And it's got to do with the mindset, with how they think. So I actually had this client who wants to make a lot of money, but he's stuck at a certain amount for 3 years, which is not ideal for him because he was in a, what do you call it, insurance planning industry here, they call it, so he came and did a coaching with me. And then I said, okay, what's your story about money? So it turns out when he was growing up, his dad is always saying things like, only bad people get a lot of money, I'm sure people who have loads of money have done something bad. To have that kind of amount of money, which I think is quite common, right? I mean,
very common.
So as much as he doesn't really think that way, but it's somehow subconsciously in him. So, and he didn't even realize it. It was like, it's during the session, we had to peel it down layer by layer. And then it's like, I didn't even realize that this is the story that I've been subconsciously telling myself. So we removed that. And his what do you call that, income for the month that I was working with him increased by 67%. And he was like, wow, just by simply, removing this, I call them blockages, right? It could be mental,
Right.
it could be emotional. And they're usually linked, because when you think of something, it will evoke certain emotions in you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then kind of also then that emotion then I feel begins to live in our bodies and impact our nervous systems and,
Yes.
all of those pieces. And then we're so linked to each other. So, I know for sure I do a lot of work on myself in these areas constantly, because I think too, why it's so beautiful. I'm going to ask you more in a minute about who you work with, but I know for me as an entrepreneur that it really is a PhD in self-development and personal development to be on this road of, expressing ourselves in the world in this way. And it kind of never ends. The next, because we're so often working at our growth edge or working at the edge of our work, there's always something new to be uncovered.
Yep.
The removing blocks and these pieces, it's not a one-time thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I would have some people asking me like, oh, because when I coach, I would, for example, give them my own personal example experience, which is recent, I would say. And then they're like, but how is it that you're a coach, but then you are still working on removing blocks? So I say, yeah, because we are a constant work in progress.
Cool.
I mean, whatever blockages that I removed maybe a few years back, which is what brought me here, but I'm going to continue moving forward, right? And to go to the next level, it's a case of what got me here is not going to get me there. So I have to constantly work on myself, I said. So they're like, oh, because there's some people who think that way, like just because you're a coach, like you get everything right, you know, that kind of mindset.
No, because all coaches need coaches. Like we're always, I certainly think most of the folks that I hang around with, especially women in the entrepreneurial world, we are always going to that next level and finding people who can help take us to that next level and the next level and the next level, until we leave this mortal world and we can do this work in the next realm, like it just goes on and on.
Yep.
Or the next life, or whatever our, personal belief systems might be. Yeah, I think it's also really interesting that you're saying this from a coaching perspective, because I've had, some of the women that have worked with me say things like, I can't have a business until I'm perfect. I can't be a coach until I've got all my stuff sorted out. And I'm, and I'm like, well, then
start.
That's right. You'll never start, because we have this idea, but I want to be around people who are always, looking to figure out how they can really get what they want in life. And that's, that's always changing. And it's so interesting. Do you, I was about to say you must see auras everywhere you go, but is it, obviously you have a deep connection to other humans, and I would imagine that this area of genius you have, these gifts that you have probably been with you for a long time throughout your life. Well, yeah, I can see you looking. I'm just wondering if that's true. Or
it is. Okay. It is. You're right. But the reason why I had that look was because I've always had it, even as a child. But when you're a kid, you're just kind of like, whatever, you don't think about these things. And when I tell my mom, she was like, I think you're just imagining things, things like that. But then as I grow old,
right? Like, yeah.
So as I grow older, I think the moment where I actually started realizing like there's more to it was in my adulthood, like in my 20s. But even then, I was always doubting myself. I was thinking, oh, if I do get something right, it's a coincidence. It's always coincidence. It's just by chance. until I think I met someone one day, and she said to me, you know, I think you actually are able to sense things. And this is me being a lawyer, yeah, at the time.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, yeah. I'm sure this is not something that's coming up in law school or in your profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what do you mean? And so she was saying things about, I think you have this gift where you're very intuitive, you can sense things before it happens. And then she was quoting like, does this ever happen to you? Does this ever happen to you? I said, yeah, but I think they're just circumstances, you know, I mean, chance just by chance, coincidence. That's what I was looking for. And she said, is it? And she just left it there and then kind of changed topic and started talking about something else. But that was the point when I kind of like, maybe there is more to it, you know. And I started to kind of get in touch and start owning this gift. So it's only, I would say, when I first started MYRYL, that was the point I kind of like started to own it, but I was still far from fully owning it. I think it's only like the past couple of years that I fully like stepped into this. Okay, this is just who I am. I think, to be honest, I was scared to step into this person for whatever reason. But then, then I fully own it now.
That seems such a natural story for you to share, especially when, you know, you became a lawyer. I mean, you know, and I would imagine that becoming a business or a coach wasn't something that was presented to you as an option as a teenager, right? Like,
imagine in order for you to understand the how nervous I was about wanting to, first of all, leave legal practice. Secondly, to start a coaching company that talks about color energy, right? Let me give you a background about my family. My dad was a judge. He's retired now. My sister is a lawyer. My elder brother is a lawyer. My elder sister, elder brother, they are both lawyers. My brother-in-law is a lawyer. My mom is not. She used to work in banks, but then she left the job to take care of us because we're moving around a lot because of my dad's job. But we always call her half-baked lawyer because she's surrounded by lawyers and she understands all the terms. And so when I wanted to tell my dad, kind of to get his blessings, I'm one of those who I want to get the blessings of my parents and stuff like that, because I think it kind of gives that energy again for you to go really far in whatever you choose. And I wanted to talk to him, and I was so apprehensive. How do I tell my dad this? Not only I'm going to leave practice, I'm going to go into color therapy. And so I did it. And he was happy because I was already working for 10 years. It's like, just do whatever makes you happy, So, but this whole energy work that I'm in is, like you said, it's unheard of for me, my family, So
yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank you. I'm so glad you shared that, because I think it's a really important story for people to hear, and especially some of the women in this community who might be having that realization right now, might be having that awakening right now that there's something else for them, and it's not not this traditional path that they've been following, and that is scary. And I think what's so cool about it is I also hear a common story that it becomes something that people can't do, that people can't not do.
Yeah.
That, once you have this discovery of like you're really following your purpose in the world, and that's very hard to put down, I find anyway. In the times, I've been on this entrepreneurial journey for 18 years now. It's been quite a trip, and there have been many times where I've been like, no, thank you. Like, I'm putting that down now. I'd like to be finished with that. And it finds me again very quickly, actually.
It does. You're right. And the same thing happens for me in like that voice. I call it voice, but actually it's more like the feeling that I have in my heart. I give you one funny story I'll share with you, how I got to know I got a yoga instructor that I work with, right? So I was doing my jog at this park near my house, like a couple of times a week. So I saw her a few times doing classes there in the park with the other students. And I kept seeing her. I said, "Oh, she's a yoga teacher. Okay." I just switch off, walk off until first time, the second time. These are all different days, yeah. And then until one day, I think it was probably like the fourth time, and I still continue walking past her, but then there's this like voice or this feeling in my heart, it's like, "Shuhada, go back and get her number because I know you want to do yoga with her. Go and get her number." And I was like, "No, I'm almost at the gate. I'm going to be out now. I want to head home." And then I said, "Go get the number." And I was like, "Fine, I'll go get her number." So I walked back to where I last saw her and I got her number. And then we've been working together ever since. And I told her how she asked me, what made you want to work with me? I said, "I don't know. That's just this voice that won't leave me alone until I get in touch with you." And turns out she's also someone who's very familiar, although she's a yoga teacher, but she also very familiar with energy work. So I think which is why our, what do you call that? Like, our souls kind of connected first before we do,
Oh, I love that you're sharing that, and it's riffing for me. I'm just thinking about just so many conversations I've been having recently. They're actually conversations about sales, and I've been talking to people about this thing called the sales process, and I'm like, actually, it. Like if someone's going to work with you, or if you're going to work with them, you already know it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't use the same language that you use to describe that. Because I have my own language to describe things like that. But it's very rare that things have to be forced. Like it. I'm like, I'm just thinking about. I'm just projecting into whatever vibe you are picking up from her, and all of those things, right? Like, I just think that's so awesome. So we've got a few minutes left, and in those few minutes, I guess I'd just like to ask you. Where do you see all of this going? Like, what's your secret great big dream for the stuff that you're doing?
Oh, okay. Well, my secret, my big dream. Well, I would say my big
dream. Yeah.
Going into 2021, right? Maybe just I have to backtrack a little bit. So for the past maybe 2-3 years, I've been doing a lot of like group coaching. I was focusing on that a lot, but for some reason, just recently, maybe starting October, I had this strong urge to like really focus on private coaching, working more deeply with my clients, because when you're working in a group, you can only go do so much for them, right? Unless they choose to come and see you and outside the coaching sessions and all that. So I feel like I want to work longer with an individual, with a client, going deeper with them and really get the kind of transformation that they should be getting. Not to say that those in the coaching group coaching not getting transformation, but it's a whole different level. So it's like for me it's an upgrade, just working with selected people that I know, maybe even offering premium services because I'll be working with them longer, one-on-one, more bespoke, more high touch, so that's my dream for 2021, because then it also allows me to have more time with my kids. I've got two young kids. I got 9 and 3, and then recently my dad has been diagnosed. He got stroke recently. So I wanted to that kind of maybe that was what made me want to do things differently, because I've been so busy working. I do spend time, but not enough. I feel that when I do this selected people, I can have more time to be with my family, with my dad, do the things that really matters at the end of the day.
Oh, I love that, and also just from a satisfaction point of view, for me, I've been kind of back and forth over the years with different models and different ways of working, and it's so fulfilling to work with someone at that next level of depth. I understand completely what you're talking about. You know, yes, in a group you can get some level of transformation. That long-term piece is incredible, and I've been privileged enough to, you know, to do some of that myself. And I think that's awesome. And the last thing that I want to reflect on, you know, before we close out is I also love that you're honoring these different pieces of your world and life through these decisions. And I want to just name that a little bit. And I find myself speaking to the, like, looking at the little green thing, because I may be speaking to the audience. That and I've been having a similar realization, you know, recently. I love what I do beyond, right? You know, it's genuine, and I am that cliche that I would do it all for free. You know, when you find something you love, do it for free. And I, in terms of my own business model, have really been leaning into the idea that while I value my family equally, I value other aspects of my life equally, and yet I don't act like it in terms of my business model. And what I mean by that is, you know, I'm really leaning into, you know, I've also been moving through some of my own money blocks around this idea that earning money has to not necessarily be hard, but I grew up in a family culture that you work hard for your money. You do your 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Like that's what you do.
I get that.
Right. And so it's really such a shift for me to go, well, oh gosh, I could earn the same amount of money in 2 hours a week. And that's not a bad thing, because it then enables me to focus on the other things that I say I value as much. I also think, just through a feminine lens, through a female lens, that it's really important that we think about these things too, because I've also been reflecting on how so many of our working systems have been based on the idea that a man or one person goes out to create income for a family unit. Well, that's not necessarily how things go down these days.
When I told my husband that I wanted to do this, and then he was like, oh, okay, so does that mean that you have less coaching calls and stuff like that? And I say, oh yeah, I do, but I'll definitely be earning more. I said, because I'm planning to, you know, charge premium for them. So you can go out and, you know, do your 9 to 8. He runs his own business as well, but he really works. He's a hustling type. He's a hustler. Some people are just happy being that way, so I just let him be. Although I tell him, you know, you can be in the flow and all that, but it's just not him. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So okay, you do you and I do me. So I say, you can go ahead and hustle. I'll be here earning like whatever amount that I want, and be with the kids and help you in a way, you know, also contributes to the household, right? So yeah, that's what I told him.
Right. I love that. I think that's a beautiful note to finish on. And I just wanted to just say a couple of things before we wind up. Firstly, thank you so much for being here and for spending this time. And it's just, I don't know, I know it's corny, but it just really blows me away, this technology that we get to literally speak to anyone on the planet. And and I think that even though I've been living in this world now for many years, because I kind of work globally and I'm familiar with these things, I think one of the positive impacts of COVID this year has been more people realizing that they can connect in this way with family, with all kinds of things. And I know that some people are rolling their eyes right now because they can't stand being on Zoom, because that's all they have to do now. But I love it.
Something is better than nothing, right? Rather than not having any avenue to connect with anybody. So this is something. This is maybe the next best thing, but it's something.
Oh, it's definitely something. And it's actually interesting, like without opening up a whole new can of worms, you know, I've done lots and lots of in-person work, and I actually find that sometimes Zoom can be more intimate because it's harder to hide. Like, I'm looking right at your face. you know, but of course there's a whole bunch of other information finished. So, okay, so before we sign off, I do want to say that this live has gone at a little bit of a different time in our community, and I've seen people, you know, popping in and out, but I'm not sure how constant the connection's been, although I have the recording. So I actually don't know why I'm saying this to the recording, because if the connection, if our interview is not there in its entirety, I'm going to download this and post it in its entirety, so that it's there for folks. And if you are watching this, which is likely going to be on replay, then please let us know that you're here and say hi, and just let us know what's resonated for you today from what Shuhada has shared. And so much of your story is so cool and relatable, and I just love getting to talk to someone who is following their life purpose.
And thank you for having me, and I appreciate you making the tweaks to your usual timing, just to so it's because to accommodate my time, because it's a morning here and it's obviously evening where you are. So but thank you very much, and I'm so honored to be a guest, and I would love to continue working with you some ways, or collaborate or partner up or something. Yep.
Well, we're going to keep the conversation going like after this call, so which you guys won't be on because we won't be live anymore, hopefully. Although I have had a situation where I didn't realize I wasn't live anymore. So we're going to sign off, and thank you so much, everyone. This has been this week's Love Seat. We'll see you next week. And if you want to connect with Shuhada and find out more about her work, then likely the easiest way to do that is send her a direct message on Facebook, and we'll type all of the ways to contact you under this afterwards. Okay, we're going to stop being live, and I'm going to figure out how to do that without kicking you off this call. So let me see if there is a not be live anymore button. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop the